video. Today we are going back into the CD collection and we are going to be talking about the CDs I own by the band U2. Familiar with them? They have somehow become the band that people love to hate. I don't know how that happened. I guess it happened when they put their new release on everybody's iPhone and iPod or iTunes or whatever, and people were just, up in arms about that. How dare you give us a free album? But, I don't know. People just were really mad about that, and I think that, Bono was always, people always kind of goofed on him a little bit for being a little full of himself or whatever, but you could say that about most rock stars, right? But, he certainly went a little overboard, with his righteousness or whatever. But yeah, people just, after that incident, people just really seemed to be ticked off about U2, They were, for a long period of time, they were just like one of the biggest rock bands there was. And then, they just kind of fell out of favor a little bit. People just got a little tired of their thing, I guess, whatever. But, they're a great band. I definitely kind of started losing interest, like sort of in the earlier parts of the 90s. I started kind of losing interest. I got into them through my brother. My brother had a few of their records, and I remember picking up the 45 for Pride when that came out. But that's how I got into the band. The first record of theirs, proper album that I bought, I think was the Joshua Tree on cassette the day it came out. And we'll get to that. So anyways, here's the CDs that I have in my collection. First up, we have Boy, their debut. And U2, like certainly these 80s, this was what, 80? Yeah, their early records up until maybe like Octung Baby or something, they've like reissued, like, expanded like anniversary sets and everything. So there's a different version of Boy that that exists with different artwork and everything. But this is the original one, and it's a really good debut. I like this one. I Will Follow's on here. Out of Control, The Electric Company. Out of Control is pretty good, but there's a different version of that they put out originally on like an EP that I think is called 3. I kind of like that earlier version a little bit better than the one that's on here, but it's a really good song. That's Boy. Then we get October. This album I don't think I've listened to all that much. I'm not really familiar. Gloria's on here, which I know and I like quite a bit. I know I've listened to this a few times, but it's definitely one of those records that I haven't embraced the songs that well and don't know them all that well. Certainly, recently I've been thinking there's a couple of bands that I have a lot of their CDs of, but there's a few titles of theirs that I'm like, I've never really gotten deep into that record. And this is definitely one of those that I really need to kind of go back and give it a few more listens to all these years later. And then we get like their first kind of really success starts kind of coming. Those, I don't know how well those records did in the States at least, but this one definitely started getting some traction and people started really paying attention. Of course, this is War. Really excellent album. Sunday Bloody Sunday, New Year's Day, Two Hearts Beat as One, Surrender, 40. Yeah, this is just a really good record. This is kind of like, this is when U2 becomes the band that we're really going to become really familiar with. I think this is the album that kind of sort of solidifies, they kind of figure it all out, and not working anything out anymore. This is the album where U2 becomes U2 as we know them. And then this, I think, was like a real seminal release for them, because this one, I think, is what so many people's, their first memory of really witnessing U2 and their especially their live performance and how good they were as a live band. And this is Under a Blood Red Sky. The videos from this would be on TV all the time, and it was just a phenomenal performance. It's a great live record, 8 tracks on here. And, this is where I become really familiar. I feel like my brother must have had this on vinyl. I think I had this on vinyl too, and I sold it, unfortunately, years ago. But, I remember this is where you really became aware of New Year's Day and Sunday Bloody Sunday, those two especially. Those were the videos that were always shown on TV from this concert at Red Rocks. And this is what introduced me to Red Rocks. And it's been like a lifelong mission to go see a concert there at Red Rocks. Kind of had an opportunity a few years ago when Van Halen played there. I wanted to go, and I tried to make that work, but it didn't because of work and stuff. And now, just this year, earlier in the year, one of my other favorite bands, the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, are playing a show there. And by the time this video airs, it's probably already passed. But I just said, screw it, I'm buying these tickets. I bought them. I was like, I don't know where I'll be when that concert happens. Hopefully I'll be able to go. And I just booked another gig in South Carolina, so I'm not going to be able to go, which is a bummer. I haven't yet got rid of my tickets because I'm still kind of holding on, thinking maybe the schedule might work out where I might be able to fly out of South Carolina just for like the concert. I doubt it's going to happen because it's like on a Monday. If it was a weekend, maybe, but it's on a Monday, so I don't think that's going to work. But I've been dying to see it ever since I saw the videos on TV from Red Rocks. I've been dying to see a show there, and one day it'll happen. But great live record. And U2's put out a bunch of live records, over the years, even early on like that. After that, there was some, it felt almost like there was a short period of time where they put out a studio record and then like a live like EP album or something like that. But they've put a handful of live records out. But that's got to be the best one, I'm sure, just because they're a young band and just so hungry and raw and everything. But then we get, like I mentioned, Pride was the first single I ever bought from U2, the first thing I bought from U2 at all. That's from this album, The Unforgettable Fire. And again, the momentum's building and building, War, Under Blood Red Sky, Unforgettable Fire, they get their first kind of really hit single. Even though Sunday Bloody Sunday and New Year's Day were on radio and video and everything, I don't know that they really charted that well. But now Pride comes out and is a bona fide hit single. And it's a great song. Really good album. I like this one. I mentioned Joshua Tree's the first record that I bought. That's coming up. Hold your horses, everybody. That's coming. But this is a really good record. It's sort of homecoming. I really love that song. Unforgettable Fire, the title track. Bad is really good. Just a phenomenal record. So all that momentum's building and building and building, and then in 1987 comes the one that makes them the biggest band in the world at that time, essentially, the Joshua Tree. Like I said, probably 3-4 times now already. I bought this the day it came out. I bought it on cassette. They played a week of shows at the Meadowlands right around when this came out in 1987, and I went to see 2 of those shows. I went the first night, and we had great seats. My friend's girlfriend somehow got us seats down on the floor, a few rows from the stage. Row R, so whatever that is, 20 some odd rows back from the stage, and then I saw them on the final night of that run at the Meadowlands. Those shows were phenomenal. I just remember leaving both of those shows and everybody walking through this bridge or whatever to go over to the parking lots and stuff like that, and everybody was just singing songs as we're all walking to our cars and stuff. It was really cool. But yeah, this album, it's one of my favorite albums of all time. I love this record. Some of the hits I kind of am tired of. I don't really need to hear anymore. Where the Streets Have No Name and still haven't found out what I'm looking for. I loved those songs when I first got this, but those 2 songs specifically, I kind of feel like I don't really, if I were to put this on, I could easily see myself skipping those. With or Without You, which was the first single and the first like major hit. Pride was a hit. With or Without You, I think, went to #1. And I love that song. And that one, even though it was played a lot and the video was shown a lot and everything, that one I still like. I still enjoy that song. Bullet the Blue Sky, Running to Stand Still, Red Hill Mining Town's like one of my favorite songs by U2, One Tree Hill, Trip Through Your Wire, and God's Country. Yeah, just a great record. Oh, here are my ticket stubs from those. May 11th, 1987 and May 16th, 1987. So yeah, great shows. And the only time I've ever seen U2. Recently I've been thinking that, it might be interesting to go see them again, just to, one last time, perhaps, just to see what the show's like now. But, I don't know, maybe I would one of these days. I don't know, if the tickets aren't too expensive, I would maybe do that. So after Joshua Tree, they're touring endlessly for that record, and they're just becoming the biggest band in the world, like I said. And, maybe their egos are getting a little inflated. They decide to do a film, and like a documentary concert film, and they released that. It doesn't do that well in theaters. I don't think it made very much money, but the quote-unquote soundtrack album comes out 88, right? 1988? Yeah. We get the fall of 88, we get Rattle and Hum, which is, again, it's kind of like a mishmash of studio and live tracks. And I bought this CD the day it came out. Like now, after Joshua Tree, I'm a fan. And I bought this the day it came out. I didn't go see the movie. I saw it, when it came out on, video to rent. And I don't mind it. Like, I know people's issues with it, but I remember it being fairly entertaining, But I really like this record. The live stuff's pretty good. I like a lot of the original tracks on here as well. Hawk Moon 269 I really like. Angel of Harlem is really good, which was released as a single. What was it? Desire was the first single. That's a really good song. When Love Comes to Town, that's the one I think with B.B. King. God Part 2 I really like. All I Want Is You is another really good song. And there's a couple of other live tracks in here that are pretty good. But I like the studio stuff probably more than anything. But yeah, good record. Interesting follow-up to Joshua Tree, but it worked. That record's pretty successful. Then we get their next studio record. We're into the 90s now. It was this 91, I believe. And we get Achtung Baby. This record came out of the gates even more than Rattle and Hum. Because Rattle and Hum, was this quasi-studio live record or whatever, but this felt like the proper follow-up to Joshua Tree, and there was a lot of anticipation for it, and it just came out of the gate, and was like a huge record, but I was not that crazy about it. I believe the first single was The Fly, which was I like that song, but it was kind of an odd choice for like a lead single. Then you have on here Even Better Than the Real Thing. One was a big song. Who's Gonna Ride Your Wild Horses? Mysterious Ways was really successful. I liked Ultraviolet. I remember really liking that song. But yeah, I don't know. Like this record, it never really clicked with me. Like I thought it was okay, but I think I just kind of got a little tired of it really quick, and just wasn't that interested in it. But it's not a bad record, and I know a lot of people really love it. And then they quickly followed that up with Zooropa, which they released the song Numb, which The Edge actually did the lead vocals for. It was a very kind of odd song. I thought it was okay. This album in whole, I didn't even buy this when it first came out. I picked this up not even that long ago, maybe within the last 10 or 15 years, really. I didn't really, nothing really, Numb I thought was, okay. It felt like kind of a novelty in a way. But yeah, the other stuff that kind of came out of this just didn't really catch my ear. I kind of just bought this years and years later just because it was cheap, and I just thought, let me give that album a shot. I never really did in the past when it came out. So yeah, it's okay. Lemon is all right. Stay Far Away So Close I liked. Yeah, the other ones I'm not really that familiar with. I have to give this another listen recently, to see if my opinions changed at all about that. Then the next record I have is Pop. They kind of changing up their sound a little bit, a little more pop sounding, a little more kind of electronica or dance kind of vibes to this record. I wasn't that interested in this when it came out. I think the first single was Discotheque, which was okay, nothing special. Staring at the Sun I really liked, but it didn't really make much of a dent. I think this is where a little bit of the sheen was coming off of the U2, fascination for a lot of people. I think a lot of people were kind of disappointed with this record. And again, this is a record that I picked up years after the fact and haven't really listened to it all that much, but it's something I probably need to listen to again just to check it out. Then 98, we get a best of collection, best of 1980 to 1990. It was released a single or a 2-disc set. I got the 2-disc set that had the best of, and then it had a second CD of all B-sides. That's mainly why I picked this up, for the B-sides disc. Some of these I had on 45s or cassette singles that I had picked up back in the day, but U2 released a lot of that kind of stuff, like cassette EPs, like a cassette single would have like 2 extra bonus tracks on the other side and stuff like that, and a lot of these come from those. But Sweetest Thing is on here, which they re-recorded to release as a single to promote this record. It was really good. Everlasting Love, they do a cover of that, it's really good. Luminous Times, I remember kind of like in Silver and Gold's on here. That was the original version. They did a version on Rattle Hum. That might be live though. But yeah, kind of interesting one. I didn't pick it up, but there's a best of 1990 to 2000. And I didn't pick that up because I feel like a lot of the stuff that was on there were like remixes and stuff that I would have preferred just straight up like B-sides as opposed to like remixes. But I always think about picking that one up. I usually can find it fairly cheap, but I just never bite the bullet and grab it. But and U2 has released a bunch of different greatest hits packages now after that through the years. There's a whole bunch of them. It's kind of, it's standard thing, especially with classic rock bands. U2 is now classic rock. There's, so many of those bands you can find multiple greatest hits collections of them. U2 is no different. Then we get All That You Can't Leave Behind. Beautiful Days released as a single, fairly successful. This record I think did pretty well for them. I didn't pick this up when it came out. I got this years later, but I got it cheap, and familiar with a lot of these songs because, again, like I said, I think they had this was kind of almost like a bounce back record after Pop. I think you had Stuck in a Moment You Can't Get Out of, Elevation, Walk On, Wild Honey I remember liking, but yeah, not a bad record. And then the last one I have is How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb, and picked this one up again years after the fact for a cheap price. Just why not? Let me check it out, see if this record's any good. It's okay. Vertigo is a big single out of here. I don't remember A Man and Woman's not bad. I like that song. But yeah, the rest of the record I'm not that familiar with. They've got a handful of records that came after that, and but I just never really got into them. Like I said, after Octung Baby, I had kind of lost my interest somewhat for the band, but it was a great band nonetheless, and really enjoy a lot of their early stuff. But let me know what you think of U2. Be interested to hear what you think. Did you delete that free record from your iTunes? That record was okay. There were a couple of songs on it that were all right. It was nothing special, but I didn't have any problem getting it for free, But yeah, so let me know what you think of U2 and your experience with the band and their albums and what have you. And thank you for watching, and we shall see you another time later on.